Hi, how are you?
Good. It's so nice to see you.
It's nice to see you.
How have you been?
Not bad. How about yourself?
Same. Yeah, pretty good. This
Good. So,
weather helps. I do good with like the warmer weather.
oh, I'm with you on that. 100% happy that the weather's been fantastic.
Yes. Welcome everybody. This is episode 22 of the IAFM pod, and I'm so lucky to be sitting here with Allison Wysota, who's the founder of Adams House in Shelton, Connecticut. Welcome, Allison. Uh,
Thanks for having me.
we're we're so happy to have you. So Adam's House is a very special thing. And I had the pleasure of visiting Allison at Adam's House this year and walking through and getting the full tour. And I was just crazy impressed. So if you
Oh,
don't know Adam's House, yes, it's located in Shelton, but it does service everybody. Like if you need assistance. So what Adam's House does is it provides basically grief counseling. It helps children uh, who have suffered a loss, whether it's a friend, a family member, grandparent, parent, sister, like you name it. A child who is trying to work through those emotions. Adam's House is here to help them really navigate, right? All the things. Through an 8-week program. If I remember correctly, it's an 8-week program. So
you're nailing it. You're nailing it.
yeah, I remember. Um, so Allison, I would love to just kind of start at the beginning because this is such an important service that Adam's House is providing. But I'd love to start at the beginning and just kind of, get grounded on where did Adam's House begin? Like, how did this come about? I know, but I want our audience to know how this kind of
Sure.
came about. So take it away.
Sure. So, at 2012, my husband Adam sadly passed following a heart attack, and I have three boys. And at the time, the two youngest ones were home. My oldest had just gone to college; he was a freshman, and so my two youngest were 15 and 11. And look, it was unexpected, right? So navigating that and then looking for support into how best to help my boys with this devastating loss and help all of us, quite frankly, and help me be the best mom I can be in the midst of my own grief to help my children grieve in a healthy way, became the mission. And I have an education background, so it was probably, kind of looking for like, where are those tools and, how am I going to deal with this moving forward? And looking for that therapy is always an option. And we did that. But therapy also happens in isolation. And one of the things my boys were very vocal about was that they wanted to be with other kids that were going through what they were going through. And we
Mhm.
had an incredibly supportive community, and I can't say enough about them. And we were grateful and blessed to have them. But they also didn't have there weren't kids in their midst that were going through what they were going through. So, in searching for that, I just thought there aren't a lot of choices here, and we could probably do it a whole lot better. And started to really do the research, and we connected with an incredible organization called Olivia's House in York, Pennsylvania. They have been at this for 20 years, tried and true. So we met with them, and they graciously offered to become our partners in launching their program here. And so with their blessings, I've made a couple tweaks to it with my education background, and that yielded to us opening our doors here in Shelton. But I love that you mentioned, yes, we are in Shelton, and I'm going to sound like a bad commercial, conveniently located off Route 8. So really anyone in the state could get to us pretty readily. But we do see everyone from the state and places I didn't even know were in Connecticut. We've had families attend. It's unbelievable. So yeah, so like, so that there we have it. That's the foundation. That's how it's here.
I love
Got
that.
it.
And did
Hmm.
your kids have like a lot of involvement as you were starting up Adam's House? You mentioned you partnered with Olivia's House. Were they a part of your children's grief process, like healing, you know?
Yes, yes. So, yeah, I love their program so much that actually I made the commute to Pennsylvania for my kids to attend their program. And they were so funny because my kids are like, "Is everyone in the state of Pennsylvania as now nice as they are?" I'm like, "Yeah, they're pretty awesome." So they were involved. They did some weeks there with Leslie and her crew,
Yeah.
and then the staff from the staff from Olivia's house, Leslie and her people came and did our first round of training. And then for my boys, as when they were seniors, their senior project was done here with their friends with Adam's House. They did construction, they got their hands dirty, they did fundraising projects, for school. They did all sorts of things. So they've kind of always been involved. And now that they're older, two of my kids are pretty active volunteers and will facilitate group. And, one of the things I want to highlight about Adam's House as well is like, yes, therapy is important, but really what's happening here is the peer support connection and the grief education, teaching them a little bit about their grief journey so they don't feel so weird about all these feelings that come with grief, but then also connecting with their peer group. And so, we break down, the whole family attends and the parents are in their group. And then upstairs, we break down into the teens, the middles, and the littles group. So, we don't run group unless we have a good peer group for all of their kids.
Yeah, those are really important things to mention. You like literally two of the biggest things I wanted to talk about was the fact that you break off into different age groups, because
Right.
while everyone is certainly there to support each other, children process their feelings differently at different stages of their life, right?
Sure.
Having,
Sure.
and it was really impressive, you guys. If you have not visited Adam's House, like, it is such a beautiful space. It's like this little gem, right? Yes, it's right off
Uh,
Route 8, and you're just kind of like, strolling and boom, you come up to this beautiful house and you
right.
walk in, and I love the fact that your kids were such a big part in like building this
Sure.
space, because every room from the moment you walk in is so beautifully thought out,
Yeah.
the
Thank you.
from the moment you walk into, like, this living room space where you might be able to have like some conversations maybe with parents and what have you, but then even, and there's like the kitchen and like the dining area almost where you can have snacks.
Sure.
But when you go upstairs and actually explore the meeting rooms for the kids in all those different age groups, right? The kids, the middles, the
Sure.
teens, or um how they're like curated for each one of those age groups, for them to feel the most comfort, and they're vibrant. This is not like a downer type of like closed
Yeah.
off, like sitting in a chair and there's a counselor.
Yeah.
It is very much so a group meeting space. It feels like a hangout. Um, so I just absolutely love, yeah, every space that you've made up there.
And look, that was super important. Like, look, I'm sitting in our intake room. So this is the first space that when parents meet with me, and we discuss program, this is where we sit. But one of the big goals that we set out to do is that we didn't want any of these families, and certainly the children when they come, they didn't want that. We wanted to send the message that you were coming to a friend's house for help. We didn't want to send that message that we think something's wrong with you or we think you need a doctor. So it doesn't have it was very important for us that it feel like that you're coming to a friend's house to, like you said, hang out and kind of get support. And it's really interesting because I always have the kids come when they register for program. I always have them come before they start. They meet with me. Wherever I could take a little anxiety out of coming here. Look, you have to be really brave to come to a grief education space, and you're going to talk about the worst thing that's ever happened to you. And look, no one understands that better than I do. So I try to make it as easy as I can. And so we bring these kids in, and it's so funny because their reaction when they walk in is like, "Oh, great." I can't believe my mother or my father are bringing me to this. And then when they come in, they're like, wait, what's happening?
Right.
What is this place? And it's like, well, it's not what I thought it was going to be. It doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like. And then usually by the time we get upstairs and they see their spaces or they see the room that they're going to be in, they're like, wait, what are we doing here? And, no one believes me until they do program, but yes, these kids come for the worst thing that's happened, with a lot of emotions and a lot of things they want to get off their chest. But I dare say in program, we design it to grieve like kids grieve. So there is a lot of art. There is a lot of game playing. These kids actually have a decent time talking about the worst thing. And they really do love that they're with their peers, with their peer group that gets what they're going through. So yeah, there's good work being done here. And then the families just have to take that first brave step.
Yes. And even,
Right.
I remember there was one room that really separate from the individual age group, meeting spaces. There was, a little cafeteria area or, like a little snack
Yeah,
room.
the snack room. Yeah.
But then there was another room, and I don't remember if it had an actual name to it. But what struck me was it was almost like you could go in there and just either meditate or
Mm.
like there was even a phone, non-functioning,
Yes.
but it was like the phone where you could like call your loved one and just kind of like
Yes.
talk. And
Yes.
it got me really, I'm getting like chills right now talking about it too, because it got me really emotional when I saw it. Because I said, oh my gosh, who doesn't dream of being able to,
Sure.
oh my God, I'm getting emotional right now, of being able to do that, right? And just
Right.
let it out. And I just thought, like, where did that idea come from? Like, but it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And I think that it's so special for, like we were saying before, like everyone has a different way of grieving and someone, not everyone will be prepared to do certain things at the
Sure.
same time. And it might be, work and a process to get there. Sorry, my dogs are just always in the podcasts.
No worries. They're adorable.
But how lovely to be able to get to that point where you're comfortable, to just be able to release, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the big takeaway with families that come to Adam's house. There's that whole, we're a death adverse society. We're very uncomfortable in this space. I think social media just breeds that more. We're not allowed to be miserable or sad or
Yeah.
grieve. We always have to be up and happy and all the good stuff. But I think also parents, with the best intentions, like really don't know when actually to talk about it, right? So it's like my kid comes home and they're happy. I don't want to go there and muck it up. And then my kid's upset or sad, like I don't want to pile on. And so like I never know when to talk about this. And then there's like a confidence too on like, is it okay? And we have teachers who feel like that. We have aunts and uncles who feel like that, who can, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. I'm not a therapist. And I always say you're not going to hurt a child talking about the person they loved. And if anything, that child would probably appreciate, the conversation. And so one of the spaces that you are mentioning is, it's called the thin space. And in that thin space, it's based on the culture tradition that they believe heaven and earth are only 3 feet apart, except in thin spaces where where you feel closest to your loved one. So everybody's different. Some people might feel connected at the beach. Some people might feel connected in the mountains. And so it's like, what's your thin space? So obviously at Adam's house, that's a thin space. If you want to go make a call and talk to your loved one. And I think that's what one of the things, the underlying, kind of principles at Adam's house, kind of, talks about is that it's okay to still have that connection with your person. It's okay to develop that spiritual connection. We can't bring them back. We can't bring them back physically, but we normalize that. If you want to pick up a phone and make pretend to have a conversation, you call heaven and tell your loved one that that's perfectly fine. If that works for you. Some people, we do journaling and it's like, write your journal to your person. That's okay. Talk to them, what's their presence going to look like in your life? And those are conversations that happen here. And And I think for a lot of them, there's strength in that. Like, "Oh, I thought this," and especially the kids, "I thought that I was weird that I wanted to do this," but
Yeah,
no, that's okay, and, we have a mantra here. It's, there's healing in the remembering, not the forgetting, so.
I love that because it's so important. And even like, um, my daughter, she's 8, and she grieves the loss of her grandmother, but she's never met her.
Yeah.
And, she passed away, like, a couple years before she was born, but she feels this connection, which is like to my husband and I, it's like mom, like, sent her to us and on like our
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're having
Yes.
conceiving our other child, we're like, she sent her to us. And I feel like, my daughter has her spark and all these things. So I'm not surprised that she feels this emotional thing like, oh, I really wish I would have met her. And so we
Right. You gotta love that though.
it's a beautiful thing, but I feel like even
Beautiful thing.
some of these things like journaling, or even I tell her like draw a picture, like even like, I tell her, to me, when I see butterflies, that's grandma, coming to say hi.
Sure.
And
Sure.
so she can take that out, she like goes with it. And so it's
Yes.
always nice to find ways to help your kids connect, with
Yeah,
someone.
and it's a perfect, like, peer support too, because you'll be the griever that's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm always getting this butterfly, and this butterfly is always in my space. I think this is my person." And then they come to group, and then someone talks about, "I think butterflies are like a thing," and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, me too." And, we hear that stuff all the time, and it's part of that whole validating. We see a real kind of rise in self-esteem with these kids, and adults too. They come in, they might be the only ones who are dealing with this. They don't feel good about it. It doesn't feel good. No one thinks they do grief right, and I think more people do grief right than they give themselves credit for. But we beat ourselves up for all those feelings, and then they kind of come into a group situation, and they're like, "Oh, okay, this is happening. This is normal. This muck and this craziness and me putting ice cream in the oven was normal. That's normal. I have that grief brain. That is okay." It is it's empowering. It's empowering for these group kids and parents to be here and get skills that they might need for this loss forever. I always say this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So,
That's so important too. And you've mentioned like parents also, which I love. Like parents always bring
mhm,
into the equation. Yes, helping. This is a program to help kids
right,
navigate their grief. Um,
right.
Parents are an integral part of that. So I remember
Yeah,
you mentioning that even while the kids are up there, you're
they're
also
doing
having conversations with the parents who
yes.
maybe don't realize that they can also be a part of this, and they or maybe at the beginning feel like, oh, this is for my kids, not for me. But then you
Yes.
get a point to bring them in and say, no, let's talk, let's give you the tools as well, and the
Sure.
strategies to help them navigate their grief and maybe even your own.
Yeah. And it's funny because so many parents will say that they're here and they'll say it in intake and then that's fine. I'm here for my kids. I'm here for my kids. I get you're 100% here for your kids. Yes. But that being said, this isn't a drop off. So you're going to be here for your kids. You're going to be here as well. And so many of them report on the other side, I was here for them, but boy, did I need it more than I thought. And boy, now I'm leaving with some tools. And then the other really nice thing is that what a lot of families say when I mentioned earlier, they never know when to bring it up. Because the parents are doing the same exact thing, sometimes the same exact activity that's going on upstairs. It'll be like, if you have a middles, this is what's happening upstairs. Hey, don't go in your car and say, "What'd you do in group?" I'd rather you say, "Hey, this is what I did in group, and this is what I said," and start the conversation that way and see if they're like, "Huh, I did that too," and see if they can have that conversation. And so a lot of families do take advantage of it. I always say the car is a great place to have conversations with your children because there's not that eye contact that makes them, not want to open up. So you're in the car, it's usually in the dark after program. But it's Adam's House is that organic way of having the conversation, and families often report, I had conversations that I never thought I needed to have, but as a result of what we talked about in program, we kind of just went there. And so it's just a natural, like almost like built in, hey, we're gonna talk about the loss. It's like a weekly check-in. And so, we just wrapped up program, and I have some of those families, writing like, I miss program, I miss our Wednesdays, I want it to continue. And that's always nice to hear that, that for a terrible thing, I always say it's 8 weeks in an 8-week program, it's gonna go fast. I don't think they believe me. And then when it's over, they're like, I want it to be longer. I'm like, you never wanted that when we initially spoke. You've
Compliment,
grown with
that is
it.
huge that even kids are saying like they've come into group with, yeah, like, when we say peers, it's like their peer group, like their age group. They don't necessarily know each other. These are kids who are
Oh, yeah.
strangers who
Yes.
come in, um, which is also kind of nice because there's no prejudgment, there's no nothing. You're just coming in and joining this group of kids, and you soon realize that you are connected in a much larger way.
Yeah.
Um, but speaking of this program, like, can you walk us through like this 8-week program, maybe how you kind of structure it out?
Sure. Look, these kids have had the worst thing happen. So one of the things we really strive for to do here is that there are no surprises here at Adam's House. So night looks exactly the same as far as the structure of the night. So, they enter. We always start with a meal, and it's all the families together. And I always hope, my hope is that, out of your 8 weeks, you leave with some sort of sub community that of people that you could always kind of lean on once Adam's House is finished, once program is finished. So
Yeah.
you have your pizza and your drinks, and you're bigger than your loss, so they connect on, other topics. And then when group starts, they kind of go upstairs, and then they're in group. It's usually we usually meet 6 to 8. So 6 to 6:30 is dinner, and then they're in group from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And it's a hard stop because our volunteers are here debriefing about their night and then planning for next week. We break out into groups. So the parent groups downstairs, they break out into the littles, middles, and teens. Hard stop at 8 o'clock. Every week, these parents, when they sign up, they will get a curriculum. We are curriculum based. My volunteers have to submit lesson plans. And I always say, like, this is probably the
Your,
nice thing.
your school comes out.
My total school comes out. I love a good lesson plan. But lesson plans, I'm gonna sound so geeky and educational, but lesson plans are important. I review them, and so I do make changes, but I want my volunteers to feel very confident and secure in their lesson plan. It also ensures me that these kids are doing the work, the grief work that they're here to do. So, we're not talking about bullies at school. We're not talking about have bad lunches or how much homework they got. We're talking about the loss here and everything related to it. So there's a theme, but one of the nice things about Adam's House that I am proud of is that it is this customized grief. Every group's a little bit different. Our themes are the same, but like one group might present, like, look, sometimes, for example, we have really active group of boys, they're not gonna want to sit and like color or color an activity. Like it might have to be more movement. It might have to be, and so will couple whatever the topic is and how we're going to kind of initiate the conversation on and kind of talk about our grief topic with a movement game and what they might like to do versus we might have a girls group who's really artistic and then we'll build the curriculum or build activities around the topic that best suits whatever group was happening here. Same with the parents.
That's really cool that you're able to customize things like that and be flexible. You know what I mean? And kind of like
Yeah.
with how the group is feeling. And I mean, you have a really nice property. I remember you were like setting up the in the back. Like, do you ever take
Oh,
a group outside when it's like nice weather? Or
yeah.
night,
So
but in the summer it's light out. So
oh yeah. So that's a brand new space open this spring. Actually, this program that just wrapped up, they were the first group to have graduation out there. That was the first thing we ever did outside. So that was lovely. And now, it's great because for the activities and the lessons that I'm just talking about, now we get to explore like outside stuff, and nature is healing, and I love groups going outside, so I'm excited to use that space. And now even probably from like your visit, it's just looking beautiful because all there's been some plantings. We have amazing garden volunteers that and love. And so one of our program families came back. He's a landscaper and cleaned up our front and mulched, and so we have a lot of like garden angels in our midst that are just creating like such an incredible space back there. So I am excited to use it for the next couple groups that are coming through.
so one thing that is really cool, like I find gardening very therapeutic.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard work and I'm exhausted after, and it's not easy, but
Yes.
definitely associate gardening or weeding, like just getting dirty, like getting my hands dirty. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It is so good for me, like so good for the soul. And I feel like, just like you said, being outside is healing, being one with nature. It sounds cheesy, but it really,
Well, yeah.
a reflection of like going from something that's like a mess, which might be how you're feeling, to
Yes.
cleaning it up, and it kind of resets your mindset too sometimes.
There are a lot of gardening metaphors that parallel very nicely with grief and loss. And the planting the seeds, we use often, like, we're planting the seeds here, and you're not going to fix someone's grief in 8 short weeks, but we're planting the seeds to give you the tools. So you water them, you remember them, and beautiful things can grow from your work here. And it's funny, we had for graduation, we had plants. And so we let the families, if they wanted to, write notes to their loved ones and then put that in the hole and then put their plant, on top. And so those notes are there. Those notes are there forever. So some of the families took advantage of that. It was super beautiful. So we love that. And then our mutual friend Dee, her son built these beautiful garden boxes. So our families will be able to like garden and plant things in the future for sure.
I love that. That is such,
Yeah, I love that too.
I mean, these are all special memories. Do any like top memories like kind of pop up for you of like beautiful things that you've witnessed, like just or nice sound bites or feedback from parents or the kids themselves?
So we got here in 2016, and then
Right.
we opened for families in the fall of 2017
Right.
was
So a lot
our
of
first
hard
was our
work.
first group.
Yeah, a lot of hard work went into like truly renovating the space and getting it all up
Yes.
running. So that, and
Yes.
since then you've helped hundreds of families.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
I
I
know
know
there
there's
and
a
there's
lot. There's a lot to choose from, but like I feel
there's a lot, and it's true. There is a lot to choose from. And they're kind of like all a little different. We've had some really like incredibly powerful moments in program. Um, so there's a treasure trove there. There's um yeah, there's just like these little success stories. We had one student who was really struggling at the beginning to kind of open up about his parent, and reluctant to share. And then, like seeing his journey where, he really finally starts to open up, and then the volunteers feel so good about that. And then when it came time to graduation, it was the last week, he was so sad to have it end that he actually wedged himself underneath the coffee table in the main room and refused to leave. He's like, I don't want it to leave. I don't want to end. I'm staying here forever. And like, his poor parent couldn't get him out from under the table. I'm like, we've never had this happen before. So I mean, eventually we coaxed him out, but it was, it was sad and beautiful all at the same time, how connected he felt. And then we have something called holiday hurdles, handling holiday hurdles, where we invite our alumni families back for additional support around the holidays. Holidays are hard, and
Oh
they're
my
going to be
gosh,
hard post. What's that?
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, the
You know,
holidays are hard.
you're so
Yeah,
right. It
they're
never.
so hard. They're so hard. So we invite them back for shore them up for support. Like I always say, you graduate in 8 weeks, but we kind of like, we don't kick you to the curb and refuse to talk to you again. Like
Right.
we're always here. We say we're always a soft place to fall. You can call us, we'll help you all along the way. So the holiday hurdles is one of those touch points where we invite you back, shore you up for the holidays. And we also invite families who are on our wait list to attend. And so one of those,
Oh,
there's one of those kids comes every year. So it's a lovely like touch point. We get to check in with him, and now he's getting bigger. He came as a little, and now he's like 12. But then I guess he told the volunteers, hey, can you do me a favor? And can you tell Allison that she needs to open an Adams House 2.0 so that the graduates have someplace to go for like a program? I'm like, okay. So that was adorable, and he's adorable. The kids are so stinking cute, but yeah. So there are a lot of, there are a lot of really, really nice takeaways for the volunteers here, and for myself, of course. So
also not surprising that the kids themselves feel so connected, because I feel like also when you have that wall of everyone who's graduated,
yes,
your name on the wall, you have that wall where you have like the pictures of
yeah, their loved ones.
us. So like that
Yeah,
shows, even as an outsider coming in, like it just shows such a level of love for them, and also respect for those that they've lost, right? Like,
yeah,
and they feel like
100%.
they care. This is a family, right? It almost becomes
Yes,
another little family for them. Um,
yes,
and
that's
it's
what we hope.
well, it's the first thing I felt like when
Uh,
like visiting, like again, like just being in your space. Um, it was very clear that there was love everywhere, and that this was
I
coming
love that.
from a place of truly wanting to help and connecting, building just genuine connections with the kids. Um,
Absolutely. No one's rooting for them more
yeah,
than we all are. And
well, it
I,
shows.
and it's funny because, we get that a lot. I get that from, people I talk to. They're like, how many programs do you run, concurrently? And I'm like, one. And they're all like horrified, I think, by it. But I'm like, I think when you're that program family, you feel that this program is all about me and my family right now. And I want them to feel that it is all about them. And I
Yeah.
always worry that I kind of always say and push back on my board and maybe some other people. I never want them to feel like, A, we are not a cookie cutter. And B, I don't want them to ever feel like a mill. And like I mentioned earlier, you have to be brave to come here. You have to be brave, and you have to be ready to do the work. And I always tip my cap because I appreciate how hard it is to get your children here. And so it's important that, they receive the quality of, it goes both ways. They were brave. We have to do our due diligence, and we have to make the most of their time here. So yeah.
Obvious that they appreciate it, they feel that, and it's just part of what makes Adam's House so successful.
Yeah.
And so for everyone who's watching, um, if someone wants, is inspired to either get involved, I know certainly, Adam's House also like thrives through donations and stuff,
Sure.
keep the programs going, which of course. So
Yeah.
what's the best way for people to get involved? Is it just to call you directly, to go on the website and do something like what's
Sure. Yeah, all those things. You mentioned you came for a tour. We love giving tours. We love, it's just like, you have to be here to see it. Like we're always combating that, like what you think this space is. So we love giving tours. Anyone is welcome to schedule a tour. They could call the office. You could go online. There's a application if you want to volunteer. It's very short, a couple of questions, and then Noelle will follow up with a phone call. If you want to work with the kids, we do a training. We call our volunteers FIGs, Friends in Grief. So you can sign up for Friends in Grief, our little FIGs. We love our FIGs. You could sign up for that training as well, or at least sign in the volunteer spot. You can list that you're interested, and then we'll notify you. And then when the next training is, and then we announce everything on Facebook and Instagram. So at the very least, follow if you're somewhat intrigued. We try to have really fun events. And so if you haven't been to any of our events, they're coming up. There's some good ones coming up. So follow us definitely on Facebook and Instagram. In October, we have a pro-am that will open to the public in August. That's August 19th at Bronson Country Club here in Shelton, which is super fun. And then we have my favorite event of the year, and it's so fun. And this year will be no different, which is a Dancing with the Stars at the Fairfield Theater Company, October 8th, Friday, October 18th.
I'm so
So
excited about this. This one I've been like just waiting for because it truly is Dancing with the Stars. Like it is.
it's fun.
Right. It's like you're going to see people from the community, and we're not divulging who those people are
No,
because that's a
there'll be a
surprise.
reveal. Yes, it's a surprise. There will be a reveal in August. More reason to follow us on Facebook, because those reveals will happen on Facebook.
Yes.
But yeah, we partner with Fred Astaire Studios. The dances are like always so impressive, and it is just a really fun night. And I will say, for a good cause. It's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. But it's like the best ticket in town, I think.
Yeah. And what's cool, it's like, it's people who are volunteering their time, to dance, and dance experience is not required by any means. This is meant to
No.
be a fun night. Um,
But they want to win. So, it's like the show, and they want to win. And so they bring it that night. And
yeah.
like for your Dancing with the Stars fans out there, they'll know the name Tony Devillani. He's our judge. And he's a big supporter, and we couldn't be more grateful for his support. But they're professionals, and they want to impress Tony too. So like they bring their A game. So
I
yeah,
love
it does
it.
not disappoint. Yeah.
How exciting.
It is.
Yeah, so definitely people stay tuned for that. We're going to help kind of spread the word as,
Good.
announcements start happening. But definitely stay
Wonderful.
tuned for, ticket sales and other ways to support Adam's House. We're always happy to share
Wonderful.
information with all of our audience. So
Awesome. Could use the help.
yeah, no, I'm so excited. And how lucky is Fairfield? Because usually this is the first time that it's going to be held in Fairfield, right? And
Yes. Yes. It's our 5th-year anniversary. So we're going big. We're going big. We have a great headliner, which should be a lot of fun, soon to be announced. And we're excited to come to Fairfield. We're excited to have it at the Fairfield Theater Company.
yeah,
And and maybe we'll stick there. Who knows? It should be a lot of fun.
I know Fairfield loves supporting Adam's House. So we couldn't be
Great.
happier to welcome you into the town. So yay.
Yes.
Anything new happening? Has Adam's House, or is it evolving into something? Is there something special happening with Adam's House?
There is always something happening at Adam's house. I drive everybody crazy here. We say we're an onion with a lot of layers. Well, one of the things I think I'll probably point out too is that, if you are a griever yourself and you don't have children that qualify for our program, and you do want some added support, I do grief coaching. I'm just that friend in grief for you. especially for the widows and widowers in your community. I've walked that walk, and I'm always happy to support my fellow widower or widow. So they can totally reach out, and that's available on the website. And I kind of think we're always looking to do different things. And so we will probably continue to offer, so there's always ideas in the hopper, and we always try things once and see how they work. We are trying to launch a book club, and the book club is really not about being in that grief space, but it's about building your resiliency, and it's with fellow grievers, but it's the journey forward. So if you're interested in that, we're putting together our list of interested parties for that. And so when we have a good number, we'll launch out some dates and get that going. So, the feelers are out there for a book club. So
I love that you're always thinking and
I'm always adding something to the hopper.
yeah, just finding new ways to build those connections. I think that's genius.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's not a lot of options, and there's so many of us who are grieving in isolation. And I would say grieving is probably one of the hardest things the hardest human experiences,
Yeah.
here. And you do need to lean in, and you do need your community of support. So, Adams House does want to be that community partner to offer help to whoever needs it and wants it.
Yeah. And just one thing I want to note, especially we were just talking about how to be involved, how to, donate in whichever way possible to help Adams House keep going with these programs. One thing that I want to make sure that is noted is that these programs are at no cost.
Yeah,
Families that come in for assistance, right?
sure.
So I think that's huge, right? That's why
It
these
is.
are so important.
Yes, right. Exactly. It is huge. And yes, we are always doing fundraising, and yes, we are always probably asking for money, but it's not for me. It's for these grieving families who, we're determined. I don't want a family to have to pick between food on the table because they just lost half their salary because their wife died, and grief support. So, we keep these programs free, and we do always need support, and we've had incredible companies step up and offer help in sponsorship ways. And, we try to, give you something for your support, whatever we can. But yeah, we're reliant on that. We're relying on grants and individual donations for sure. That's why these fundraisers like Dancing with the Stars are so important.
Yeah, I love that.
Get a
So
little fun along the way.
I know you do. And you're doing an amazing job at it. I couldn't be more grateful for you to be a guest on this cast. I could and just for everything that you're doing for our community.
Oh,
It's wonderful.
thank you.
Really.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that.
oh, so what does Allison like to do for fun outside of Adam's house? What does Allison like to do?
I've been known to find some trouble, but I am a big golfer. So, if I have a choice and it's lovely out, you could find me either on the golf course or the beach. So this is my season. So I'm super happy. I don't really do great in the winter, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's my fun right there. Yeah. Golfing and beaching it. And
You
then my kids are spread out all over the country. So if I'm not in either one of those places, I'm probably on a plane somewhere. Like I just got back from Chicago last night. So,
Well, you're wide awake now. I would have never guessed.
oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, it was a whirlwind, but super fun. So,
Love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And any favorite books? I mean, we were talking about maybe even doing a book club, right? But for yourself, is there books or podcasts that you like to tune into for yourself or for even Adam's house?
I'm always reading something, and I'm always poking around on podcasts. Probably podcasts like grief related podcasts. I'll hop on, or a good TED talk about grief. Grief is that unique space. There are a million ways to grieve. And so million different takes. And I'm always looking, I always look to, steal good ideas and bring them to programs. So if I do that, it's probably grief related stuff. Then when I need a break from the grief related stuff, as I do, then I'll turn to like a good book. So I am reading a book called Good Material right now, and it's pretty good. I'm only 100 pages in. So yeah.
Yes, 500.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You like to
Probably
pick
like
up like
350.
big books? Are you a like big books? You love reading, like just love reading. It doesn't matter how long it is.
Yeah, it does not matter. If it's good, I don't care how long it is. And then the real testament to that book is if it's really long and I get to the end and then I feel like the characters in the books are my friends and now I miss them and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. That's a good book. And I've had some of those. And so, yeah. Cloud Cuckoo Land is a really big book. And actually, I started that and then I got distracted. And so I still have that on my nightstand, but that's very good.
Sounds like it's just my brain. Okay.
It's good. It's a very good book. It's a very
So
good book. And then
fun.
I just finished The Woman by Kristen Hanna, and I love her. So
Oh,
it was a pretty big book, but a quick read.
yeah. I'm going to find these. I'm just going to link them out because why not?
Yeah, yeah, they're good. There's some good ones. Yeah, so yeah, reading's good for me, especially when I'm on the beach. So yeah,
Oh, it's the best. The beach is my,
it's the best.
yeah, that's the one thing I love to do is just go to the beach, read, like, or just literally do nothing and just something about the air there.
There's music in my ear, a good book in the beach, and I'm pretty happy.
Much for your time, Allison. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm so
My
grateful.
pleasure.
We'll keep, like I
Great.
said, we'll keep sharing this out and sharing the love for Adam's house because you're doing
Love
amazing
it.
work. Um, I'm so proud of you and
Aw.
I know Adam is loving you from above and all around. Um,
Yes,
but what a
for
beautiful
sure.
thing that you've created in his
Thank you.
and we're so grateful.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, we're trying. We're trying for sure. And I appreciate all your help in getting us the support we need. I
Have an
love
awesome rest of your day. I know he just wants to just be like if it was up to him, he'd be up to the camera right now. I can't. I have to hold him back.
he's a co-host. He wants his spot. He's like, no, let me interview the guest now.
Literally, he'll get in your face like oh, it's the pits. He's so needy.
He's
No.
adorable.
Yeah.
He's adorable. All right. Well, I hope to see you soon.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to
All
come
right.
to it again.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Bye.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yes, my pleasure. Thanks
Have
for
a
having
great
me.
one.
You too. Bye.